Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Where's Fielder? He's gone to the dogs.
Hello, friends. Once again, we're here with the Gone to the Dogs podcast, this time up in the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, up here hunting and visiting with the Smiths, Randy Smith and his son Troy. And we've got a good conversation for you today. We're going to kind of put the spotlight on the younger Smith, Troy, because he was recently awarded the Outstanding Youth Award for the Treeing Walker Breeders and Fanciers Association, which that's quite an honor. And we want to talk to Troy about that. But, you know, I enjoy these trips so much up to Pennsylvania each year, and I try to get up here at least a couple of times. And Randy, you've been so gracious to invite me up, and man, I was in West Virginia doing a bench show, and to recognize and appreciate a longtime friend, John Sturgill, which we've recorded with him, but it was just too close to Katanning not to come on up, you know. So here I am one more time eating your food, enjoying your hospitality.
Yeah, well, we're having a good time. Again, we had a good hunt last night and had a good day today so far, and hopefully we'll repeat the process tonight again here.
Oh, yeah. Springtime in Pennsylvania. It's beautiful up here. Everything's budding out nicely, and, of course, there'll be Circle Point City here coming up. But, Troy, it's good to be on the mic with you. You're... as I asked you before, so I'd appear I knew what I was talking about, you're 17 years old now, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're a junior in high school, I believe, right?
Yep.
That's right. And you just had your prom here this past weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a brother, Cole. He's, a couple years younger?
Yep, 2 years younger than me. Yep.
Okay. Well, there's never a dull moment around here when I'm here with all the buddies that come in and the bikes and the four-wheelers, and I understand the Jeep has now entered the scene.
All kind of motorized vehicles here. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I really do feel like it's kind of a homecoming for me. You guys have made me feel so welcome up here each year. And, of course, hey, I know that there's a lot of people that are envious of me to get to come up here and hunt with these Lone Pine Treeing Walkers. It's everybody's talking about across the country, and I've been fortunate. Now, I don't know, it's been probably 4 or 5 years that I've been coming up now. I don't know. Do you know, Randy?
Yeah, at least I would say maybe.
About that long?
Yeah.
Well, in 2016, that's when we kind of got acquainted, when your Sioux female won the world hunt. And
yeah, we soon started to hunt together after that.
Yeah, and then... you know, I've had you on the podcast several times, and the last time I had you on with John, your partner, John Strickland, and man, that podcast really went through the roof on downloads. So you guys are good. The sponsors love you, kind of guy.
Well, yeah, it's great. We're glad to do it. This has been my life's work here, and Troy's following right along with me here, and we're getting to share a lot of good times together in the woods. And probably Troy went to his first tree, I would guess, at maybe 3 years old, something like that. He's been not afraid of the dark since the first time.
Oh, he's not afraid of the dark.
No.
And I'm envious at my stage in life. You know, getting up and down these hills is not so easy. But you know, last night, man, we made 6 trees, and I believe I made it pretty close to all 6.
Yep, it was pretty good. We got fairly close to to them each time. And yeah, they showed us a coon every time, and it was good work. It was almost full moon. The moon's on its way out right now, but it was still pretty moonlight, but seemed like the game was moving better than it has been here. It's been a tough spring this season here to really get after many coons, but we're hoping it'll turn around now here a little bit. But yeah, we hunted 2 new ones last night you never hunted with
That's
before.
right. Yeah, we had, it's kind of interesting. It turns out that way, but both of these dogs are, of course, out of Lone Pine females. And old Frogger.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Frogger is these days. He's been a pretty popular stud, and yeah, we hunted your Phalse Profit pup, the young superstar that's coming on strong, and I think through Clayton Stark Outdoors, his YouTube channel and all, Clayton's been hunting him for quite a while for you.
Yeah, Clayton hunted him for about 6 months after I had him just barely, just lightly started. Clayton took him, and it didn't take any time at all till he was reliably treeing coons for him nightly. And yeah, Frogger's a really good reproducer. I'm well pleased with. We kept 3 out of I bred to him 3 times so far, and we've kept 3. And the one I give partnership to Chris Saunders. She just got in the final 6 of the Super Stakes and Profit, and then one we call Phara that my buddy John Owen, after I had her going, he took her up to northwest PA there and hunted her a few months, and she's making a world-class dog. I feel she's looking good.
Fun to listen to, a real hustling little female. There was several things that I took away from our hunt last night, but I think the best one was, I guess, the last drop we made with Phara. We had cut Profit loose, and he had treed down over the hill to the right. I remember when we cut him along the field there, he went, I don't know how far, maybe 7,500 yards or something, and then just cut down over the hill there and got treed. Wasn't that the way that went down?
Yeah, yep. He's probably about 100 yards or so.
Yeah.
He just cut in real quick, winded a cone there, and it wasn't no time till he was treed, and then we just
I
cut
noticed,
Phara.
Yeah, you went back to the back of the box, which is kind of atypical of hunting with you. Usually single them out, but I've noticed the last couple trips you're putting a lot of pressure on these young dogs to make sure that they're pretty single-minded and doing their own thing. But The thing was funny to me was when you cut Phara, she went down through there, man, like a freight train. And when she went by Profit, and of course he's loud, and she didn't even cock her ear toward him.
No, she
didn't look, didn't turn her head. No, just straight on by, man. I got things to do.
Yeah,
that's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. It's that's the name of the game today. The dogs got to be burying in there and doing their own thing. So as soon as they are kind of set in their ways, I just start putting the pressure on them a little bit at a time and trying to set them up to do the things they're not supposed to, so that it becomes normal to them to do the right thing. Yep.
Well, she's about 17 months, did you say?
Yeah, I think Phara's 19 and
19.
Profit's
Okay.
like coming 14.
All right.
She's
Yeah.
right in there.
I got you. Well, I think we said, it was 6 singles I think we saw last night. I think Phara got the edge a little bit. She had 4 and Profit had 2.
Yeah, she got to be loose a little bit more than he did.
Well, when he was loose, though, man, he hunted. He really went hunting good and covered a lot of ground, but the coons just weren't moving all that good earlier on.
No, they seemed to move better later. But they're good hard hunting dogs. They keep moving and keeping the wheels turning all the time. Yeah.
Well, the technology has just made coon hunting so much more enjoyable, especially, when I was a kid. Troy, you you can't imagine this, I guess, but back in the day, we had no kind of tracking device. The only thing we had were those flaps on either side of our head. If we didn't hear them, we didn't have a clue where they were.
Yep. Yeah.
But now you sit in the side by side and look at the drive track, and I noticed last night you were kind of the screen man. I mean, you were giving the information back to your dad about where the dogs were. But that's such an enjoyable way to hunt, I tell you.
Yeah, the best part about it is that the worry of recovering the dog or knowing where they're at or if they're near in danger or anything, it's all pretty much wrapped up with that. And it sure has made coon hunting so much more efficient and enjoyable than even when I started with a bell, so I knew at least what direction they left out of there. And I soon got a wildlife 3-channel tracking system.
That's the first I had.
Yep.
Too.
And it was wonderful, for back then. At least you knew what direction they were in, and you also knew if they were treed or not by the tree switch on there. But other than that, they were far from what we got now. That's for sure. I call them pothole feel compared to what we have now with the Alpha. You're prepared to do any kind of correction or anything at any given moment. You can look at that screen and know if a dog's thinking about doing something you don't want them to do. That's huge.
The technology is really good. And, I've said before, I was privileged, although I didn't know a whole lot of what was going on with it, but to work in the early testing stages of the Garmin back in the old Astro 220s and the DC, 20s and 30s or 50s, and Kevin Brickhouse was working with Garmin and lived there in Raleigh, and he would call me up and he'd say, "Can we go out and put some collars on some dogs? I got some testing I need to do," and so I would do that, and of course I had to sign a confidentiality agreement and all that stuff. I didn't know what he was doing anyway, but it's fun to see the evolution of that in our sport, and it definitely has changed the sport.
Oh, for sure.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
I wrote one time about what were the 10 most important innovations in coon hunting, and hands down the GPS collar.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's a lot of other things there, like the Tritronics and the John Wick frog leg waders and all those kind of things. Well, the main focus that I wanted to make here with our podcast today was to talk to Troy, because I haven't had him on before, and to talk about, of course, you went out to Walker Days here. That's been, 2-3 weeks ago?
Easter weekend.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Why did they have a hunt on Easter?
Yeah.
But I guess it's in the bylaws that it's like the third weekend in April, no matter what, So
I get to ask that question now. They used to ask me, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?
Right.
Well, that's great. Walker Days was always a fun hunt. And we talked last night a little bit, Randy, about how they've changed things up a little bit. They have an RQE now on Thursday night instead of the Lee Crawford hunt, which they had at the time that I was there. But this award that you received out there, Troy, this year was pretty special. And when your dad sent me some video clips and picture and all, I had to share it with people because I was really pretty proud of what you accomplished. Can you tell me a little bit about what was it? Outstanding Youth? What was the designation that you won?
I believe it was. They called it the Outstanding Youth of the Year Award for Walker Days up there.
All right, cool. Well, did you go there expecting anything like that, or was that totally a surprise?
That was pretty much a total surprise. Yep.
Yeah. Well, those are always the best, know. Well, that's great. And I shared with your dad last night when I was in the military and went to the Air Force. I was in basic training in 1969, and the Plot Association decided to give me the Sportsman of the Year award, which is it's voted on by the board, and I imagine that's probably the way your award was. they seek out, outstanding individuals. And so my folks had to go and receive the award for me. Uncle Sam had me out there doing push-ups and running laps and moving piles of dirt.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Walker Days is always been a big deal. Randy, you've won it a few times, I think.
I never won Walker Days. I've had high scoring opposite sex and got real close a couple different times, but I've never won Walker Days. But we've gotten
some Hall of Fame dogs in
here. We've had 3 dogs inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Tom had been voted Breeder of the Year once, and myself another time, and we've been going for. I've been going with Tom, and I've been going to Walker Days for probably over 30 years.
Yeah.
Hardly missed a year or two because it would fall on Easter.
Yeah.
And we probably would have come home this year like after hunting Friday night. But when I knew Troy was up for that award, we opted to leave early Easter morning and to get home for everything then. So we made it. Made it in the nick of time. But we've always enjoyed going, and back, years ago, it was one of the biggest events of the year.
Oh, absolutely.
And along with, I think, the other breed hunts and everything, it's kind of fallen to the wayside a little, but it was better attended, I think, this year. And Lady got qualified Thursday night, and then she won the whole. They had a money hunt both Friday and Saturday night, and she won the whole thing on Friday, and Phara placed in the registered division, and then Saturday night Troy handled Phara and placed her in the registered part of the hunt.
Right,
so
right.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Walker Days used to be huge, and a lot of excitement and all. Back in the stud dog era, when there was magazines were full of stud dog ads, and particularly remember Sackett Jr. Back in the day, you couldn't flip a page in American Cooner without seeing a Grand Night Champion stud dog out of him and all. But Troy, back on this award, is that something you share with your classmates at school, or do they have any? 'Cause I see you laughing because. It's funny, Ella, my wife, and I went to high school together. She had no clue I was a coon hunter.
Mm-hmm.
We dated in high school. She had no clue. That was just something my dad and I did together, and I didn't know any other kids in my high school that were coon hunters.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a big graduating class. Do your friends at school know anything about your hunting activities?
A good many of them do. I tell them about it. But there's hardly any people who could relate to knowing what that is whenever I tell them about it,
Yeah, you have to experience it to do
exactly.
it. I notice your brother, his buddies down here, they like those 2-wheeled conveyances, and they're all into that. And that's kind of like my son was with different activities. We started out coon hunting, but you started with your dad at a pretty young age, didn't you? Yeah.
Yep. Pretty darn young. Yep.
Do you have any recollection, any memories of those early hunts?
Oh yeah. Different, just going out there and treeing coons all the time. When I was younger, trapping, stuff like that.
Oh,
That's
so
really
I know your dad's Randy's a trapper, and of course with these fur markets going away and all, that's a sad time.
Yeah.
I've been here when you had to walk in full of fur and such beautiful stuff, and the way you put it up and everything. But so you liked the trapping part too?
Oh yeah, I liked about everything he took us out to do. So
yeah, that's the way I was as a kid too. I just wanted to be with my dad, and the things he did were outdoors, and that was a lot of fun, for me. Yeah. So, do you remember when you picked out one of these nice Walker puppies and decided this one's going to be mine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Bertha was the first one?
Well, yeah, I'd say. I mean, there was a couple I helped my dad out with picking one out, but Bertha was like one of the very first ones that I kind of said, "This is the one I want here."
Yeah.
But there wasn't very much of an option. There was a pretty small litter, you know.
Well, she was out of the world champion Sue,
Yes.
Lone Pine Biffy Sue, and the Louis dog that was littermate to old Fran, we
Yes.
called her,
Yep.
and one of my favorites. And they were out of Frankie and
Girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bertha, you and Bertha have had a lot of fun. I remember, how old is she now?
Four. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So she was about 15 months old or so that when I came up and we went around the cornfield there along the river.
Yep. Yeah.
I remember she treated, I believe, 3 singles that night and just kind of slid under all 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember so I knew she was going to be special.
Yeah. I probably had more time in the woods with her personally than any dog that I've ever had here, because when Troy picked her out and we, got her going and everything, when we went, we took her and we were, working on her together all the time. So we really put a lot of time into her, and she treated us thousands of coons. She's, not probably just in her prime right now, but we moved on to another chapter in her life, and Troy can tell you a little bit about that. We just got done having babies out of her.
Yeah, so you kind of moved her into the production unit a little earlier than some of your females.
Yeah, well, right? I hadn't had any pups out of Bone Collector here in 5 years, and that was my plan. Whenever I had semen from him, that every 5 years I wanted to have a litter out of him. And so she came in heat, and I left it up to Troy what he wanted to do. And I knew they would be a hot commodity. And, so we just opted to do that. So we worked on whelping pups for Bella. Had pups out of Big D. And then 2 weeks later, Bertha had pups out of Bone. And it was wintertime, and we spent a lot of time down in the building down there with pups. So they're running around in the yard now. They're beauties, so everything so far so good.
Well, I was just going to say, I just got introduced to them here a few minutes ago down here.
They introduced themselves.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one thing I've noticed up here about your pups. I've never seen a shy one.
Yeah.
They're all very bold, very personable.
Mm-hmm.
Those pups are, Troy, they are nice. They are beautiful blanket back dogs.
Yeah,
man,
nice.
They're pretty.
Yep, very nice.
Really, really pretty.
Yeah.
But, that color's only skin deep. And
yeah,
it's funny
that's
to
right.
see the contrast now. The dogs there, the pups you have out of Big D, which are, they show the white.
Yep.
Of course,
yeah,
he
open.
was a big white dog, so you expect that for sure. And some people prefer that. Some people would love to, have an open spotted dog. And
it really doesn't make any difference at all to me. I just like a big, stout, houndy type of dog, and it doesn't matter to me whether they're open or black or what they are, But
well, that was always
nice.
The striking thing to me about Sue, the world champion, was big female. Big, and she's still doing well.
Still tough as she's hardly ever had a sick day in her life. She's a tough girl. Yeah. She's edging towards 14 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Troy, you kind of got into competition pretty quick. I mean, how long has it been since do you remember hunting the first cast or handled the dog the first time, or is that too many since then?
I'd say I was probably 13 or something like that.
Was it Bertha was the first cast you handled on?
Probably.
I think so.
Handled probably, yes.
Yeah, he was along on several casts. But.
And I don't want to embarrass you, but I remember the night that we hunted Bertha there, I mentioned when she treated those 3 singles, and you were handling her, and your dad and I were back and forth. He said, "Now watch him." and you were down there aiming your female just the right way, you know. And I mean, I could tell you were serious about it at that point, man.
Yeah.
You had all the moves down, you know. You
Yep.
were, but you soon started seeing some results. You did pretty well with Bertha, didn't you? Oh, yeah. Of course, you finished her the grand. It's part of it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, she's a 2-time. They call it a Grand Night 2 or whatever.
She's a Grand Night 2 already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep, and he won. He got reserve state champion in 1 year. Then the next year, he won the state hunt with her, and he got reserve state youth PKC champion with her 1 year, and won Walker sectionals. And
now last year you made the Final Four at Walker Day, but you weren't hunting Bertha in that case.
No, I was not.
You were hunting the little Fran dog.
That's correct. Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And of course we talked about little Fran. I think we did, or did we?
Today, no, I don't think we
didn't.
have.
Okay.
Yep, we haven't talked about.
What about
her.
little Fran?
She's out of Hardman's Jeb and Fran that we talked about out of Tree Slam and Frankie and Track Girl, and she's a sweet dog, and Troy did great. He actually got in Saturday night. Chris Saunders guided us that night. Tell him, Troy, about how that. You remember the hunt that night when Chris guided us?
Yeah, we cast it out with. We had to go out to Nova Club, right?
Yeah,
the satellite club, and we got with this guide, and he took us out to where it was like a lake there, and there was just autumn olives and all sorts of stuff there. It didn't look fit at all to turn a dog loose in there. So Chris said, you know, it might be a little while to drive, but let's go back to my place and we can turn loose there. So that's what we did, and we did pretty good that night. We treated a good many coons, and we got enough to be able to advance there.
What, besides knowing, I'm sure that you've got confidence when you go out on a cast that your dog's prepared and that you've got a good dog, and that's got to count for a lot. But what is it about competition that you enjoy the most?
You know, there's just so many things with it. I love just going out there and, you know, just the feeling of the competition, seeing what's all going on.
A game.
Yeah, my dog needs to do this to win. Their dog can win this way if they do this. Or I need a striker in here, get this many points. And I just love it all, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I check up on you every once in a while. And way back, your dad, I said, is Troy really enjoying this? And he said, oh, yeah, he loves it. But that's great. Well, okay, kind of flipping around here now. You are in high school. Tell me a little bit what you're doing in high school. How are you preparing for life after high school?
Yeah, I go to a technical school. They call it Lenape Technical School up there. I'm taking a construction class up there, and I'm learning a whole lot of stuff doing that. You know, I'm hoping one day I get to build my own house, and that's really helping me out.
Some practical knowledge, some skills. We hear that a lot today, you know, and you hear so much on the news about you know, and I don't want to get on my stump here, but, you know, about repaying college loans and all this stuff. And the kids go through these schools, and these schools I wanted to use the word, but I'm not going to use it. But that, you know, kids come out of college with so much debt, and they don't have any skills when they come out. They've got a bunch of paper learning that's not applicable to living and to earning a living. And I applaud you for that, because, you know, our grandson down in Florida is going to a technical high school, you know, and believe me, it's not shop class of old. You guys are getting a lot of education. It's not easy, is it?
No, you got to be prepared. You got to really listen to what your instructors have to tell you, and you got to, you know, actually do things.
apply
Or,
it.
They're
apply
building.
yourself.
They're building a house. That's what
Yeah.
they're doing. They're building a house. So
Yep, from
Yeah.
the ground up. Yep.
so
That
that's
is so great to
Yeah.
see that. They the high schools did that in Michigan when I lived there, and they would pick each year they would that particular program they build a house,
yeah.
and so that's so
Well,
cool.
we have been lied to in this country in a lot of different ways, but one of the main things is teaching these kids that that to only be doing things with their mind and not with their hands. And I think it's equally important that they know how to use their hands, know how to get out of situations, that like, hey, I'm broke down here. I got to check this. I got to, it's really important to know things today. I mean, that's the problem is we're sending these kids out into the world and they don't have any real foundation on what to do with themselves, so I think it's great. It's really great.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
There's a joke that goes around like the young person says, "We're going to start a revolution," and the old guy like me says, "How you going to do that? You can't even start a lawnmower."
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the oversimplification, but yeah, and good for you, Troy. That's awesome, man. And well, in fact, I think your dad's kind of put you to work. Here, you and your brother doing some work on some renovations and stuff on some rental properties and all. And
Yeah, they worked all winter. Had a great winter. They had buddies involved, and it's nice that you don't look at work all the time as misery and toil, that they went and had fun while they were working and they were making money and still getting the job done and having fun in the meantime. It was great. I hope to put them all to work here, it was great.
Well, that's the way America was built. And, and usually like you, Randy, grew up on a dairy farm here in Pennsylvania and enjoyed spending time today with a couple of your brothers. And and you guys all grew up doing that and learning those practical skills. And I think of my dad, he had a 10th grade education. But when he got out of the military after World War II, he knew he needed, a good solid job, so he served an apprenticeship as a pipe fitter. I think it was like 5 years or something, 4 or 5 years, and he made a good living his whole life, and he took a lot of pride in his work. He loved his job. He loved what he did, and that's, there's a saying that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly. Yep, that's
so
for sure.
find something that you enjoy,
Yep.
I don't want to lecture you or in any way. I can't tell you anything that you probably don't know already, Troy. But I told the kids when I spoke to them at the PKC World Hunt, our youth championship a few years ago, that, all of you guys are sitting out there want to be a professional coon hunter. That's what you want to do for your life's work, So do all those kids in the inner city. They want to play in the NBA, but very few of them make it. And my sermon was get out there and get education, get a trade, learn a trade. You can make some money. You can buy that new truck and the new dog box and the new light and all that stuff and get yourself a nice dog. And you can coon hunt all you want, but you're not likely to make it just coon hunting, So have you ever had any aspirations of just being a professional handler? Do you think that'd be fun? Or what?
I'm sure it'd be fun going all over the place, but I never really thought about that being the only thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well,
he's got a business to take over here, so he's already got his path has been mowed already.
That's right. That's right. And for our listeners that don't know, you have Armstrong Pest Control, Randy, right? And basically you control critters and bugs and everything in between.
Everything. Yep. We do it all. And
just getting into your busy season coming up.
Yep. We've just been working here for a couple weeks now, and it'll from about the 1st of April until middle of November. If the weather's good, we have more work than we know what to do with most of the time. So that's a blessing, that we're in a fairly, I don't know if I should say depressed area or not, but it's not like you see in Florida, where it's fairly hard to have a small business in Armstrong County here in Western Pennsylvania, but we're doing good, and hopefully that'll continue here.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Troy's his plan is to stick with me here, I think, and we're gonna do this
Sure.
together. Yeah,
Absolutely outstanding. It sure is. Well, on another side note, coming up here, I always enjoy visiting with your mother.
yeah,
And of course, your dad, I enjoyed very much too. Unfortunately, he passed. What's it been, a couple years now?
yeah.
3
It'll
maybe?
be So it was a couple years in February there.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
Mhm.
your mother's an amazing person, and we went to church today, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. That
Yeah.
was great, and just a lot of nice people here in this area, and just good stuff. And your mom, oh man, she should be on the cooking channel.
Yeah, she missed it. She was she ran the bake shop at a local college here for quite a few years, but she should have been running her own show.
Oh yeah,
She could have made a fortune because you just can't get it like she does
it's
it.
amazing. Come in here last night. I drove up from West Virginia. It was about a 3-hour drive, I guess. By the time I got here, it was about 10 o'clock when I got here, and you guys had the dogs loaded already and all. And we went hunting, but there was those, what do you call them, those peach cookies?
Yeah,
Peach
like
filled. They're almost like a fried pie, but it was a cookie with this filling. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. And so I had some of those last night before I went to bed. And then when you text me, you said, those peach cookies go pretty good with coffee. And so I had some more this morning.
Yeah.
Then we go over there for lunch after church today. And awesome lasagna, salad, it's bread, and then the coup de grace, grace of that peach pie with the homemade ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's our angel. She's been
a sweetheart.
the rock for everybody here,
Yeah.
and she's the most selfless person that I've ever met. She does everything. She'll work all day long and start calling people to come and pick up everything that she worked on all day, to just delving it out.
She has a servant's heart.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's great. Well, Troy, what about Walker Days last year when you got in the Final Four? How'd it feel?
No, it was really an experience. I just going through there and making it up through the levels. I was like, man, I really enjoyed that. That was really good.
And it had to be. And at your age, let's see, were you still 16 then, or were you 17?
About 16, I'd say.
16.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a big time there for sure.
Yeah, he had to hunt 3 casts that night. He won the early cast and had a good score. I think she scored 3 coons. Must have had about 675 or 650, something
That's
like
a good
that.
score.
And then the late round, I don't remember who the other guys were, but he drew Scott Engel at Scotty's club. It was at Holmesville last year, and he ended up right at the end of the hunt. Fran was split from the other dogs, and she's the only one that had a coon, so that put him in the Final Four. And then he drew Ruby D with Timmy Waters and Willow with
Moorhead.
Kevin Morehouse. Kevin Morehouse. And then I don't remember what the 4th dog was, but now we're talking now it's wee hours in the morning, and you can imagine how
Will you begin to fade a little, Troy?
Yeah.
I'll never forget
Any energy drinks involved there?
No.
But Willow, when she was open on the ground, she sounded very similar to little Fran when she was locating.
Mm.
And one track,
That was tricky then.
Troy called her treat a couple times, and Oh, he was so upset with himself, and he turned around and looked at me, and he said, I just want to withdraw. I said, no. Keep going, buddy. And she ended up treeing a coon off by herself there, and it was good. I remember filling the truck up before we started to head home in the daylight there at the end of the fairgrounds at Holmesville there. It was a long night, but it was a good one. We had... That was a great memory,
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the greatest memories that I have is when my dad was about my age now. We went to plot dates at Pomeroy, Ohio, and we had two dogs. I had two dogs. I'd prepared these dogs. I was living in Michigan. They were half brothers. And Dad decided on Thursday night, the all-plot night, he wanted to hunt in the veterans cast. He didn't like the competition that much, but he wanted to go out with these fellas. And so he ended up winning the cast and had a better score than I did. I won my cast too, but he had the better score. So I said, well, we'll just take your dog. Well, he was mine, but the Wrangler dog, and I'll hunt him on through, and we'll see if we can win this thing. And we ended up opposite sacks overall, but we did it together. He got the Thursday night hunt, and I got the next two, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
Well, did you get to participate in the decision of who to breed Bertha to? A little bit.
I mean, it was probably, we had it all figured out even before we even started thinking about breeding her. It was pretty much figured out who we'd breed her to. So
yeah, we talked about it. I said, well, the first time that we breed her, it'll be the timing will be right, and we'll breed it about the bone semen that I have there. And I said that'll maybe get her, start her off on a super note, having. When they're wanted that much, the people are going to put their heart and soul into them, I hope, so to get her reproductive record on the right track right out of the get-go, so she should definitely do her part.
Well, she has the genetics there for sure, and if looks or anything to do with it, those are going to be some really nice dogs.
Yeah,
they're beautiful now.
Yeah,
they really are.
Yep.
You named her Bertha, right?
Yep.
Where'd you get that name? That's a little bit unusual for a coon dog.
Oh, I just came up with it one day.
She was a tank. She was just huge and heavy-headed and everything.
Like Mama
when she was
kinda,
a little, when she was little like that. So he called her Big Bertha.
Big Bertha.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, she's a fun dog to hunt. I've been with her a few times, and always out there working hard.
She's got to hustle. If she don't have anything, she's definitely has no reverse. She's going to get you somewhere under a coon. Hopefully she's pretty nice dog.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, Troy, how's it feel to be part of a institution here? Really, I mean. You can't talk to a coon hunter anywhere in the United States that doesn't instantly recognize Lone Pine as being, one of the major lines of walker dogs. And here it is. You've grown up, with these dogs down through the years. Do you remember as a kid, or coming on up? You're a young man now. I don't think of you as a kid anymore, really. And was there any favorites that you had down through the years that you can remember?
Oh, Sue was always a favorite of mine. I liked Sue and Shot and, Franny. I liked her too.
Yeah.
Baby.
Baby, yeah.
Now, I never got to hunt with Baby. I regret that always.
Yeah.
I know when we met out in Greencastle in 2016, you were hunting Baby in the hunt. Mm-hmm. And I took the picture with you and Rick and Sue and Baby and Tom. And that was, I'm kind of proud of that picture.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite pictures.
But you have told me several times too, Randy, that Baby was one of your favorites.
Yeah, I think she was my favorite so far, I would say. She we probably have had dogs here that maybe win more than her. She won easy for us when we took her, all the more that she really got to go. But she just had all the chrome and the mouth and the locate and accuracy. And
now she was out of bone.
She was out of bone and Miss Quickie. Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Her and Shot are like 3/4 sisters.
Shot being out of jigs.
Jigs, right? Yeah. Yep. So, those were some real dogs and real good litters, and have a lot of fond memories from Baby. She got into Final Four of the UKC World Hunt in 17 and 18 both.
Yeah.
That put Rick in the Final Four of the World Hunt 3 years in a row. I don't know that'll ever
probably
be duplicated. No, that was really something. The second time she was in the Final Four, Terry and I we probably talked about this before, but we were off on a fishing trip with no service for a week or so, and as soon as we started to come into Yellowknife, and you start picking up cell service, that phone starts dinging texts, all them 150 texts, that you missed through that trip. And I'll never forget looking at one of them, and Rick says, in the Final Four tomorrow night, and I couldn't believe it. 3 years in a row. That was in Mount Gilead, Ohio, there when Willie won the World Hunt there that year. But she was extremely good to us, and we only got to breed her twice, but she was a good reproducer, and she never caused a minute's worth of trouble in her whole life. She was just a sweetheart.
And what a blow it was! She died having complications from puppies.
Yeah, the second litter there. Yep, mm-hmm. Yep. But it's just one of those things. That those females are in danger whenever you do that. Just the same as whenever you turn them loose hunting, and you don't live in fear of what could happen. You just, do what you think is right at the time, and that's it. And it happens. And, this road to get here has not been a smooth one. I don't talk about the lumps, but there's been a lot of them, and there'll be more that there, there's always going to be loss with gain. That's just how life is, but, she didn't live a long life, but she gave us a long life worth of memories. She was great. She was great. Rick was hunting her at the PKC Final Four. She won the PKC state hunt one year, and the guys in the cast, of course, they would, spent a full hour and a half or 2 hours in the same woods, and she had treed a couple coons, and they were having trouble, and way out in there, she opened up a few times and come back. When she located it, it was so long and drawn out, like she'd just lose air, like, she would locate. And one of the members of the cast said, "You hear that, fellas? That's the sound of it being completely over." I wasn't there to hear it, but Rick's, it was like, that's another thing I'll never forget. It was like they were, everybody knew that when she was treed, it was a pretty good chance it was going to have the meat there, so that was a good thing.
You look at the competition scene nowadays, and one thing becomes abundantly clear, at least to me. You gotta have accuracy.
Yeah,
you've
absolutely
got to have a coon when you tree.
Yep.
It's so rapid fire. It's so, it's further. Anything can happen at any time. You can't waste time going to empty. Well, you can't take the minus and overcome it. Is one part of it. The other part is, and that's what I appreciated last night about our hunt. We turned those young dogs loose. They made 6 treats. There were 6 coons.
Yeah. Well, that is the name of it, and it's gotten to be more and more and more so. The dogs are so good now, and it's partially because genetics of. I mean, the guys are paying closer. I mean, when the purses are up the way that they are now, there's so much at stake that I think that breeding quality dogs and everything has even reached an all-time level. Uh-huh. And then, the dogs are trained to the T now, with all this, what we talked about with the alpha, with the, with all the modern technology and everything. The dogs are just honed to, to razor sharpness, and they're just going to have, I mean, you need to, they're, that stuff are like, well, the leaves are on somebody. No, it's, you got to have it because you got to score it. And with thermals and everything now, that accurate dog is going to blow your doors off if you're not even, you can't be even 3/4 of the way right. They've got to be as close to that 100 percentile as what they can possibly be, or you're out. It's just plain and simple.
Well, the old adage, people, it was pretty much, they were all the same, what they said, Robin. And it was 90% accurate. This dog, 90%'s not good enough today.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, if you're counting dens and things of that nature, 90 is like a great mark. But if you're, if you're talking that dog that, they're gonna, throughout that cast or whatever, they're gonna give you a bad tree. You're just not going to win often enough.
Right.
I don't think, they've got to really be right. That is the name of the game.
It's amazing. And I go back to the last time I recorded with you, Randy, was with John. You guys, after you'd won that super hunt, Joy super hunt.
Yes.
With Lady, and she just destroyed that cast. I mean, she had 3 singles, I think, on her own. Mm-hmm. And, well, Lady's tree, there's another coon. I mean, it almost becomes a foregone conclusion, Of course, you can get a den.
Oh yeah, she can make a mistake. There's no doubt about that. They can all do that, but just like it, I went along on the late round with John at that $7,500 slam hunt at Walker Days, and it was just like they turned loose in there, and they all 3 of the dogs got a head of coon treed by themselves, and then soon find out there's no tracks in the woods. The coons aren't down, and she just goes into coon treeing mode the other way. She's finding layup coons, and it's hard to, that's hard to deal with, when they're doing that.
Absolutely.
But she's definitely a 1 in a million. I mean, but she's had more opportunity. I've had other dogs that were that same, that same type of dog, but we got noticed, and it's been a great ride so far. And John's been, a godsend for me to get them, having my message out there without me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been around a long time, and as they say, I've lived a whole lot more years than I've got left to go.
Yeah.
But it was
too.
fun for me last night. We're sitting there in the buggy, and we've been waiting forever to hear from him. He's in that truck hunt.
Yeah.
There in Tennessee, and then when he called in and get his recount of the thing, but the whole part about that conversation to me was, John's done a lot of winning. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the coonhound world knows him as they do you too. But it's still that Mr. Steve, you're welcome here at the house. Anytime you want to come, got a bedroom for you. Mm-hmm. Come down, I'll take you hunting. I'll drive you to every tree. It's just like that. To me, my life's work, I'm getting paid now.
Yeah.
I really am, because I am really having a lot of fun with it. It's aggravating to me that I can't get through the woods like I used to. It is, but I'm accepting it because I can't do anything about it. Oh. But I'm still, enjoying it so much.
Yep.
Well, Troy, there's so many things I want to ask you, but I don't, the main thing that I wanted to do by interviewing you is get my listeners to meet you, number one, because I've always been impressed with you. I've always been impressed with your demeanor around adults, the way you speak, you articulate exactly what you're thinking. Not to embarrass you, but when you're called upon to pray at a meal or whatever, It's always, you're a great example for young people to take. I guess the way I want to put this is, you take your life seriously. You have a lot of fun. You have a lot of skills. You have a lot of friends. All that thing. Do you have anything that you think that the young people your age out there should be thinking about, or anything? I don't want to get too deep philosophically here, but what could you just kind of pass on to the other kids out there that maybe want to get involved in hunting, maybe don't know what they want to do exactly as far as their education, maybe don't know what to do about their faith, anything like that that you could share?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first and foremost, just put your faith in God. It's about all you can do. Just believe that He'll lead you in the path that He wants you to go, and that, He'll do everything that needs to be done, and you just got to believe in Him and do what He believes you need to do. So, but in terms of just going through your life coon hunting and doing what you want to do, just in everything, keep God the center of your focus in everything that you do, and just make sure that you're not going overly crazy and putting other things before Him and things of that sort.
Priorities, in other words.
Yeah,
Keep
Him your main priority. That's the main thing.
Well, it's very wise words, and words for life. And, those of us of faith, and I try not to get too deep into it on this podcast, and it's not because I'm ashamed of it at all, but I know it's a coon hunting podcast and people like to hear about the sport and all, but every day that I get up, the first thing I do in the morning is speak to the Lord and say, thank you, number one, as my dad always said, for life. Thank you for another day to watch the sun come up. Thank you for another day of opportunity, and help me to have the wisdom to take advantage of those opportunities and do what you would do. Because, He's our example. He's the one that set the course for life, and it's there in our face. So I appreciate you saying that, because it shows in your life. And I know I always say, parenting page, I know you were led down those beliefs are founded in your family that taught you those things from a very young age. But, you've got a bright future. And the thing about it is, I think the Lone Pine Kennels are going to be in good hands when Randy gets my age, which he's got a long way to go for that. A long way.
We're doing our best, but I'm really proud of my boys and my wife and my all my family and everything. It's been really good here, and Troy's free to talk about his faith, and if anybody ever heard this boy, he talks to Christ like he's talking to a friend.
Absolutely. Well, there again, I can't help it because it was my upbringing too. But the Bible says He's a friend that sticks closer than a brother.
Yeah.
And He really does. Well, yeah, that's so good. And what I would say to my listeners here, out there, if you're struggling with life a little bit, and you're trying to do it on your own, and you're kind of running up against a brick wall here and all, it's not easy, but in principle, it's so simple. Just give it to Him. Say, I can't carry this anymore. Just, give it to Him, and He'll direct our paths. The Word says, in all our ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct our paths. So, well, Troy, I have really enjoyed this. We have been at it, guys, just a minute and a half. We'll be an hour in.
Yeah.
So that's a good time. But what about any hunts coming up for you? Anything you've been thinking about? You're going to be handling a dog?
Yeah, we need to get a few more wins on little Fran to get her granded out and get her TOC wins for next year. She just coming out of heat now, so we're going to be we haven't been really paying attention to the hunts because these young dogs, I mean, you seen last night, Steve, a lot of people would be having them entered,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we entered Phara at Walker Days there, but that was kind of like a goal thing, and now we're still going back to boot camp here, and I like for them to be over ready whenever we take them because even at that, like when they're first getting adjusted to being out there with 3 other dogs and stuff, it's going to take a couple hunts to get there, but. So we've got some more strength and conditioning work to do on these young dogs and stuff, and I'm hoping that I can come up with another one that I can partner up with John on, and keep him hauling a dog that says Lone Pine on it.
Yeah.
That's our that's going to be our main focus. For years, whenever I was doing this, Steve, the whole goal was to how quick you could get a dog finished out. Back in the day, that was the big thing. How young you could, and I don't look at it like that anymore. I look at it as like what that product is going to be at 3.5, 4 years old. Like are we going to be able to enter this dog in any hunt and feel like we've got
a chance?
Like a big chance to win. So I don't care about the young stuff anymore. I want to put the groundwork in and have them super solid and be the right kind. Whenever they reach their prime and they're ready to tear it up with any company. That's the main goal. Yeah. But we're working on it. We're working on it. I'm really proud of this boy here. That was a great moment when he won that award there at that thing.
Absolutely.
And I think he felt whenever they started giving the awards out and I had my phone out, I think he was starting to smell a rat a little bit about something was going on.
Is that right?
Yeah, I would say he doesn't miss a trick. I tried to stay back, and I didn't know when it was going to be his time, so I kept the phone up. But it was a good thing. We were all there for it, and stuff. And everybody, Rick and the other fellows have seen Troy grow up in this, so it was all good. I was really appreciative of the board to do that,
Well, and good for you for getting the remarks and everything on tape on the phone because that was great. I got to participate in it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good deal. Well, it's been fun here, and we got another. Are you going to get to go with us tonight, Troy, or you got school coming up in the morning?
No, I got to go to school.
Yeah, I got you. Doggone that pesky school.
I'm ready for him to be done with that. We got stuff to do.
Summer's coming here. When do you get out for the summer?
I don't got much time left. I think it's coming into the teens nowadays that we have left to go.
Okay, that's good. We always ask our grandson down there, how many days you got? Oh, he knows, right?
Yeah. Well, we went to another ceremony here not too long ago. Troy got inducted into the National Honor Society. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a big deal. That was
that's Troy, that many-faceted thing, you're getting it where it concerns your education, and you're putting practical that knowledge to work out there working on these houses with your dad, and then you're getting recognized for your coon hunting and all that. That's good. I wouldn't tell you to change a thing, man. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
The sky's the limit. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've always pictured it as if you're going to be in school for 13 years or however long, you might as well just make the most of it and try your hardest while you're there,
Great advice.
Yep.
Great advice. I couldn't say it better. In the Air Force, they paid us, it was only $35 a month, but they had superior performance pay. And all that meant really is you cut your hair the way they wanted you to cut it. You shined your shoes. You wore a clean uniform. You came to work on time. You worked and you left, and $35 was $35 to me because I was making a total of $600 for a whole month.
Yeah.
So I said, I had that same attitude, hey, I might as well do it. And I knew so many guys that fought the system the whole 4 years. If they would have put a half the energy into doing their job, they probably would have made rank and their pay would have come better and all this stuff. But good advice, Troy.
Yeah.
All right. We've had a good hour here, actually a little more, with Randy Smith and Troy Smith, Lone Pine Kennels here in Katanning, Pennsylvania. And you guys out there that hear this podcast, if you've got a young coon hunter or a young person in your home, tell them to give it enable them to listen to this podcast, the good advice that's been laid down here. And we're going to get after it after a while here, and dark's going to be here before we know it, and pick a puck. The one thing we can do here that I think is always cool, you can kind of just go down to the kennel and pick a door and open it up and go coon hunting.
Well, that's a nice thing. We're blessed. But we put the work in, so that's we try to have something to showcase when people come. But,
Yeah. Well, I sure enjoy the benefits of your hard work. Okay, friends, once again here with Randy Smith and Troy Smith, we're going to say goodbye for this week. Thank you for listening to Gone to the Dogs podcast. We appreciate very much our sponsors for this program, and you'll find them in the notes, especially W Hunting Supply, if you need anything for your hounds or yourself in relation to this hound lifestyle. Call them up or check them out online, dusupply.com. Until next time, this is Steve Fielder, and as always, I'm Gone to the Dogs.